Hi, everybody. This is Gail Tucker, and I'm recording my discussion post for this week. And the subject matter is about informed consent. So, as the assignment tells us to do, I found a counselor here in Montana and just got his informed consent off of a website. So, I don't know if this is a standalone document or if there's more that they have the client sign when they come in. There is certainly some parts that are included uh, that I will go over in the American Counseling Association's 2014 Code of Ethics as it regards to informed consent. But there were parts that I was concerned that might be missing as well, and those might be covered in another document. But here, they spend some time going over what happens if the client is unable to pay, if they don't take care of their responsibilities for the counseling visits. And that is covered. But one thing that I don't see that they might need to include is what happens for cancellations. Many counselors will have something to the effect that if a cancellation is not received within 24 hours, then the client still has to pay because they had that appointment open for them and they didn't, they weren't able to then book it with somebody else, so they lost out. And so often there is that cancellation policy, and that's not detailed anywhere in here. I also noticed just a little bit here about who they could release information to. On down, it says something about mandated, for mandated counseling, that they might have to release information due to subpoena or court order. But it's pretty limited. One thing that I didn't see, I used to be a nurse, and in 1996, the health information portability, and I always get stuck here, and I have to, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act in 1996 was a big deal, and it changed the way we did things. It used to be somebody could call up and say, hey, my sister's in the hospital, what's her sodium level, or how's she doing? And all of a sudden we couldn't tell anybody that they were even at the hospital. And that goes for counseling as well. So we do, just like for healthcare, have to have somebody sign a HIPAA form, I believe, for counseling services. And it's quite a detailed document. And so that I don't see here detailed at all. One thing that I also don't see is what they do for minors. Because at least in our state, as I will show you as we scoot over here to the Montana validity of consent for minor health services. In Montana, minors, and that would be someone who is 16 or above, in this case, can consent to their own counseling services as long as it is for, down here, drug abuse and substance abuse, including alcohol. So I did not see that mentioned in here at all, or how a minor that wanted to have consent by their parents signed, or if they were just going to sign the consent on their own. That's not detailed in here. They may have a separate consent for that. I have here all of the Montana code as far as validity of consent of minor for health services, and I looked over their adult consent rules, and it pretty much mirrors what the ANA says. So here, the 2014 American, I say ANA because I was a nurse, I'm sorry, American Nurses Association, and now I have to switch to American Counseling Association. So the ACA Code of Ethics from 2014 does say here that counselors have an obligation to review in writing and verbally with the clients the rights and responsibilities of both the counselors and the clients. And I didn't feel like that was too heavily emphasized on Dr. Michael's informed consent. There would be various ways that you could do that, certainly saying that you need to show up for your appointments, and I need to show up for them. We both need to be timely. There was also something in here about the stating the purpose, goals, techniques, procedures, limitations, potential risks and benefits of services, counselor qualifications and credentials, and I didn't see a whole lot about that. It might be that a person would want to list if they do EMDR, or if they're using CBT, any type of therapies like this, I guess that you would want to go into that and let people know the types of therapies that you would be doing, and you might even have separate consents for things like EMDR. So I also saw in here that they need to obtain clear information about their records and how they can be released and who they would be released to. And that's gone over somewhat in Dr. Michaels, but what I mentioned is that also there might need to be more detail about HIPAA on that, as well as what would happen for a minor if they were there for substance abuse or alcohol abuse counseling, and if their parents came in and requested those records, what would need to happen. Also, usually in a consent, we tell our clients that we are mandated reporters. And so if they are telling us that they're going to harm somebody else, or that their intent is to harm themselves, that we would need to release that information to emergency personnel or whoever it is that can protect their safety or the safety of other people. I go back to mandated clients here because I covered that about minors being able to receive that substance abuse and alcohol counseling if they wish. And so I had a question to pop up in my mind. Not that we can prescribe Suboxone, but often people are also seeing a psychiatrist or a mental health nurse practitioner in coordination with their counseling. So those minors that are suffering from substance abuse, specifically opiates, they might be prescribed Suboxone. So just an aside, I wondered if that minor who isn't having to get consent for this counseling, if they would be able to pick up their own Suboxone from the pharmacy even. And did you know what? They can. If they're under 18, they can only get a 5-day supply. However, if you're over 18, I believe you can only get a 7 to 10 day supply. So just an interesting factoid. This was an interesting project, and I appreciate you paying attention here for these few minutes. I'm looking forward very much to seeing you guys' recorded discussion. Have a great day. Bye-bye.